Welcome to another how-to video from Parts for Garage Doors. We are your trusted garage door parts store, bringing knowledge and expertise to our valued customers and quickly shipping the parts you need the most and can't find elsewhere. This particular video is arguably the most important video we've created to date. It should be understood that there are variations of garage door spring replacement that might make your repair project slightly different than demonstrated in this video. As always, approach garage door repair with caution. This taping is meant for educational and entertainment purposes only. Here's some of the tools you'll be using. We'll talk about those in a little bit. Make sure you always unplug your garage door opener before beginning, and use a pair of vice grips into the track above one of the rollers to lock the garage door down. You'll see that there's two springs on this door. The one on the left is not broken. Always unwind the non-broken spring first. Insert your 1/2" OD winding bars into the winding cone all the way and use a socket to loosen both of the sets. Once loosened, the bar is going to want to go in the downward direction. Go ahead and let it rest against the strut brace and continue inserting the bar and decreasing the tension 1/4 of a turn at a time. For a 7-foot tall door, there's typically 29 or 30 quarter turns. For an 8-foot tall door, you're going to have 33 or 34 quarter turns. This, of course, is double time that you're seeing. Always take your time when you're unwinding the spring, and make sure every time you insert the winding bar that it bottoms out into the winding cone. After unwinding the spring, go ahead and loosen the two set screws using your 7/16 socket. The drum is going to loosen and you'll be able to pull the cable away. I like to tuck it underneath and out of the way. Okay, so we're going to go to the drum on the right side, loosen the two set screws. The drum is going to rotate a little bit and you're going to pull the cable out from the slot. Like I said, I go through that track right there and get the cable out of the way, move the drum over. Now we're going to remove the bolts that hold the springs together using two 9/16 open-end crescents. Of course, you can use a ratchet if you like. And then the spring that is broken, go ahead and loosen the two set screws on the end of that spring. We like to spray lubricant to the left and right of each of the bearing plates, because we're going to slide the whole tube through the bearing plate so it creates a gap. And that gap is what is going to allow us to take the drum off and take the old spring off. Just slide it right through. If there's not enough room, you can kind of bend the spring. They bend really easily. As you can see here, inserting the new spring, just kind of bend it in, get it through the end piece. Put the drum back on and slide it on over. What wasn't shown here is that we slid the bar all the way through and inserted the new spring on the other side, but to save time we did not show that. Once you get the two springs together, you put the bolt back in place and tighten that up. Now we need to set our cables. Put the cable in through the back side, find the notch in the cable drum, and have the end go into the notch and into the first channel. The cable is going to line up into that first channel and pull downward on the drum, and tighten your set screws by hand at first and then use a socket to tighten them in. You're still holding the drum in the downward position, which is holding the cable tight, and then use a vice grip against the wall on the upper side, and that's going to hold the cable in place. So when you let go, that cable will stay in place. See the cable being lined up there in that first channel. Pull down on the drum. That's keeping the cable nice and straight. Tighten the two set screws by hand and then using a socket. Always tighten your set screws till you feel it touches the bar, and then an additional 1/2 or 3/4 of a turn. So since we used a vice grip on the other side, we do not need to use one on the opposite side. So now it's time to wind the spring. The first thing we do is one turn by hand which is 4 quarter turns. So that was 5, 6 quarter turns, 7 quarter turns, 8 quarter turns, 9. You're going to go all the way to 29 or 30 quarter turns for a 7-foot tall door. Again, what you're watching here is double time. You're going to take your time and go really slow. Make sure you insert the winding bar completely into the winding cone. You're always going to go in the upward direction when you're adding tension. No matter if you're on the left side or right side, you're always going to wind in the upward direction. You can see me counting the lines there. They're 7 full lines, which means that there's 7 full turns on the spring, plus 1 or plus 2 to hold the cables tight. Of course, you're going to tighten the set screws and then push up on the winding bar about 1 millimeter so you can remove the lower winding bar. On the other side, you saw me wind the spring by hand 1 full turn and then put in the winding bar and let it rest against the strut. And then each additional quarter turn was using the winding bars. Again, we're winding in the upward direction, 29 or 30 quarter turns. This spring is the right wound spring. It's on the left side, but it is the right wound spring. A lot of times they have a little red color splotch indicating that it is the right wound spring. It's a little confusing because it's on the left side, but the left side should have a red color. You can see me there using the winding bar to release the lower winding bar. When you're completely done, you're going to remove the vice grip and then test the door by hand. It should always be able to stay open when opening it manually. It should stay at the header height without falling. So here's me and Corey. We're the ones that completed this project with you. The last thing we're going to talk about is how to measure a spring. You can order springs from us. You can check it out in the description and see the details there. We need 3 measurements. One is the overall length. Don't measure the end pieces, just the coil only. If you have a broken spring, just push it together. This one you can see is 29 inches long. Then you're going to measure 20 coils. You're going to get a fraction, but you're going to convert that to a decimal and divide by 20. That's going to give you the wire diameter. And then there's the inside diameter. This one is 2 inches. The springs that we sell are a 2-inch inside diameter spring. Here's some happy customers at our local store. So please check out the description. We'd be happy to help you. There's some contact information there.